Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of Killing Eve Season 4, Episode 3, titled A Rainbow in Beige Boots. I love the title for this episode, coincidentally. I also love this episode. There's a lot that went on here, and that sweet, wholesome title does a great job of distracting from most of it.
Yeah, I mean, Killing Eve has great titles. It also has great music. The song that they use near the beginning when we saw Eve and Villanelle in Eve's hotel room, it's also the theme song for Nine Perfect Strangers, which, if you haven't seen that, you will really like it. If you like Killing Eve, you will like this. It is very similar, not in necessarily like assassins, but like strangeness. It's really good.
We have a lot to talk about because there's a lot that happened in this episode. But of course, before we get into any of it, why not hit that subscribe button? Because
Oh,
this is what we like to call a Coco Vanderwolf bribe, or just see her cute face. See, there's nothing that she wants more than you to hit the subscribe button. I'm saying all this as though she knows what a subscribe button even is, but you know what?
Coco Chanel would also like you to follow us on Instagram, Matt and Jess TV, where there's lots of pictures of course, Coco Chanel Vanderwolf.
All right, Coco, you've done your duty. You can go on the floor.
All right, so let's just get into the real sort of meat of this, because I think the thing that we're all kind of going to be talking about here is Villanelle has been arrested, and it's because of Eve. She, saw in the paper what happened, that, Villanelle's face is all over it. People are looking for her for what she did to May and Phil, and Eve makes this decision, which, I feel like people are going to be pretty divided on this because a
Yeah.
lot of us want to see them together. There's a real understanding. I mean, Villanelle said it great in her therapy with Martin, where she was just like, yeah, I have a power over Eve. Eve has a power over me. And it's not really power, it's love. And the way that she was talking about, where she's just like, I just want to see her do, everyday things, sort of that secret single behavior that only your partner gets to see. Like, she's talking about love. And I think that part of why Eve did what she did is not to punish Villanelle or be like, you deserve this, because come on, Eve, you've done some stuff, okay? Like, you can't be on your high horse being
Yeah.
like, you're bad but not me. Even with her little story of the frog and the scorpion, where Villanelle's kind of like, maybe you're the scorpion, maybe you are, maybe it's I'm the frog kind of thing. I think that Eve did this because she knows that she can't concentrate and focus on herself and sort of getting better, even though she's not, and she's completely unraveled. But like, to not have the monsters feeding each other, Villanelle has to be gone from her life. And this is the only way that I think she thinks she can make that happen, because they are drawn together. Like, no matter what they do, they just can't stop.
Okay, so this is sort of how I kind of feel about a lot of it, in that I love the move and yet I hate the move. And
No,
I
I hate the move.
I think
I
it's
understand the move, but I hate it.
see, the thing is though, there's such a thin line between love and hate. And that's what I kept thinking about through a lot of this. And I'm not saying by any means that Eve hates Villanelle. I think she loves Villanelle,
Yep.
but I think she also hates the part of herself that is so addicted to the answers, that is so addicted to the concept of obsession, that I think she is constantly at war with herself, questioning, do I love myself for this? Do I hate myself for this? And I love that she takes a definitive action and sort of says, okay, you know what? I'm going to do something a little bit different here. I'm going to try to remove this part of me that, ironically, a part of this part of her clearly loves. And she's going to take Villanelle, pluck her off, send her somewhere else to prison for a little while, and see if she can get this sort of job done. But I think the problem that's going to come for Eve throughout all of this, and this is why I'm projecting a little bit here, and I could be totally off base, but I'm going for it anyway. I love that this is going to lead to potentially more realizations from Eve, that she can't function without the idea, without the thought, without the chase of Villanelle still being out there. I think she's going to have a really hard time with this. She knows that Villanelle is a murderer, and yet I think she's going to feel guilty.
Listen, Eve is delusional if she thinks that putting Villanelle in
Yes.
prison is going to stop Eve from her feelings. That's kind of like the idea of, oh, I'm going to move away. I'm going to move to another country. I'm going to move to another state, and things are going to magically get better. But you can't escape your own feelings and you can't escape your own thoughts. And just because Villanelle's now behind bars, it changes nothing for Eve. She's still gonna feel what she's gonna feel. She's still gonna go downstairs and see the fish tank and look at the fish and remember, like, everything is a memory for her when it comes to Villanelle. She loves her. The thing that I'm wondering is this then setting up for Villanelle, who has been really lost? I mean, she said it during her therapy session.
Yeah.
Forced therapy with Martin, where she's just like, I feel bad all the time and I don't understand. Like, I can't get out of feeling bad all the time. You know, we saw her beginning of the season trying to be good or trying to figure out how to stop herself from feeling bad. And I think a lot of it is that there is someone else out there that has power over her, that makes her feel a certain way and she cannot control it. What I worry about is being this move by Eve is going to end up with Villanelle being like, I am done with this. Like, my heart is now so broken that she would do something like this, that now Villanelle, when she does find a way to get out, because I don't think we're going to see her in prison all season. Nobody wants to watch her sitting around the cell. That she's just going to be like, I'm done with it, and kill Eve.
There's a really good chance of that. There's a chance of everything swinging. I still feel, ironically, given how big a move this is that I think it could swing almost any way still moving forward. And I think what Villanelle, one of the things that's shown that she wants more than anything else, I think, is she wants someone to love not just her, but love every part of her and sort of understand and recognize who she is. And I think that's what made this, you know, as sad and heart-wrenching as this scene of the arrest was, just that little beat beforehand where, you know, Eve says to Villanelle, I'm doing something I should have done a long time ago. Like, I had two different thoughts in my head at that point. I was like, okay, either something really terrible is about to happen or she's going to kiss her and break the entire internet, and it's going to go one or two ways.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of where it was going. I didn't expect the arrest, and even afterwards, when I saw the arrest happening, going back to those words, this is something I should have done long ago, I don't think Eve believes that for a second either.
No.
I think really, like, Eve is really in a pit of delusion because she's also now called up Helene and was kind of like, hey, I have this information that you're looking for, another possible person from the 12. And Helene's like, okay, who is it? No, let's have dessert. And there's a little bit of chemistry there too. Eve is attracted to bad girls. She is. And I think it's a thing that she's attracted to that lifestyle. She doesn't want to be, but she is. She's attracted to the danger, to the I don't know of it, to the, you know, risk of it.
I think she really just loves the idea of feeling like she has an upper hand on some of these people and that they have to sort of abide by her terms. And I think it's probably even more exciting because this is Helene. This is someone who has a position of power within the 12, even if she claims that she's trying to take down the 12 as well. It doesn't really matter. What matters here is Eve, who goes on this really interesting sort of romp throughout the entirety of this episode in order to get like the semblance of answers, being able to say finally, okay, Helene, you need me. You need to meet me. You don't get to control me and threaten me or make me read a bedtime story to your child anymore. I am in control.
Well, it was also an interesting thought process that Eve went through to kind of get to where she thinks Helene actually is. Like, Helene seems like somebody who probably has more answers than Eve, but Eve thinks that Helene actually doesn't have the answers and that she's also kind of in the dark because we've learned that a couple members of the 12 have been, you know, put through through the ringer, we shall say,
Yes.
to not get demonetized from using other words, to try to continue to go through the whole 12 to figure out who's at the top, that Helene may not actually know who that person is. And that's what the theory is that Eve is going off of, that, hey, maybe we both just don't know. But if I can get the upper hand to at least find someone who might be connected to the 12, then I have, a pony in the game.
Here's where I want to see things going at this point, because I don't think this whole meetup with Helene is going to go anywhere near what Eve thinks it is. Like, I think, kind of like you just sort of suggested, Helene probably has plenty of her own resources to figure out a lot of these sort of things. And I think we've even talked about this in the past, that Helene doesn't even necessarily need Eve. So I could easily see this meetup like completely crashing and burning. And I hope that maybe it would inspire Eve to sort of be like, oh, maybe one of the few people who can help me is the same person who I locked away in prison. And then we get the Killing Eve version of Prison Break, and we get to see how that goes.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that I don't think Helene actually needs her. She's, seemingly found a few of the 12 already and has gone after more than what Eve has found out. I think Helene's just using Eve. If Eve wants to deliver one of the 12 to her, cool, that's no problem. But I don't see Helene then continuing on with Eve, unless Eve has something to continue to offer. And, it's just the way that it is. I think Eve is just way too deep in. I think it's one thing for her to be working with Villanelle or getting close to Villanelle, and then it's another thing to be doing this with someone like Helene, who's way higher up in this organization. It's one thing to have, an assassin as sort of your lover or your friend or someone you care about, and then someone that's near the top of the whole organization of assassins. It's a very different game.
If there's one beef I have with the Eve storyline in this episode, and it's a very, very tiny beef, but it feels like we're in a very cruel, cynical world at this point. I feel like if a lot of people go up to somebody like in tears, really distraught, and are sort of like, I don't have any friends, you're the only friend that I might have. Well, I know she didn't put it in those terms, but like, and she ends up like getting to sit down and have a chat. I feel like in the real world, a lot of people would just be like, go away, I'm grumpy, I'm irritable, I don't want to, but maybe Killing Eve makes us all hopeful for a better future.
No, I agree with your beef. I would have a very difficult time with that. I mean, even if I was in the distress that Fernanda is in, I think if somebody else came up to me and they were also in distress, like, I'm not the type of person that's going to be like, let's go out and drink 3 bottles of wine. Did you see what was on that table? 3 bottles of wine. I'd have a glass. I would be on the floor. It was a little bit unbelievable to have another stranger. If I'm in that type of state, I don't want to talk to a stranger.
Yeah, I mean, I'm somebody who, my idea of a party is probably like 1 glass and some video games. So maybe this entire situation is like completely unrelatable to me. But apparently, as a part of Eve's training, one big component of it is her being able to hold a lot of alcohol. And I guess this is a useful skill.
Okay, so let's talk about Pam.
Oh boy.
We're into it now. So we have learned a bit more about Pam. We learned that her brother Elliot is the, I guess, salesperson at this funeral home. And it also seems like this is a family business, that the father owned this funeral home too. So this is generations deep. It is unbelievable to me that Elliot would think that being around dead bodies is creepy. You've grown up in this industry. I know a few people who are generations deep funeral directors. I'm a former funeral director. It's very difficult to be in that job and to have an issue with dead bodies. It is part of your job. Even when he was like, oh, you're creepy, you can't be out here, you're scaring off potential customers. People are there because people have died. They understand what is going on. Most people understand that there's a process that comes along with arranging your funeral. And if embalming is something that you want for your loved one, you understand that that is part of the process, and you're not going to be like, oh, I'm creeped out, now I'm leaving, because, like, come on, no, you're generations deep in this industry. It's just, it was odd.
I'm not a former funeral director. I don't have any experience in the industry, but one of the things I've kind of learned from you over the years is that the vast majority of shows that try to depict this sort of stuff always get like one or two things like horribly wrong. Like, unless it's maybe like 6 feet under, but like other than that.
They got the embalming right, which is something that I was pretty pleased to see. Like, taking the care of the body, where the incision is to be able to put in the formaldehyde and the treatment, and, washing the hair, clothing, all that was all done 10 out of 10. It was absolutely all the care that goes into preparing a body for loved ones to be able to see. Seeing somebody else, even if they're just in sales, I mean, in Canada, your license can either be, funeral directing and embalming. So you can do it all. That's what I could do. So I would arrange funerals. You don't have, the embalmer sitting in the back like a creep. It's just not a thing.
Well, here's the deal now, Elliot. You can't really be that judgmental or anything else anymore. So you know what?
Yeah, because you did.
Yeah, exactly.
That was so satisfying. So we saw that Pam was having a really hard time with her brother. Went to Helene and was like, hey, can we speed up this process? Because clearly I got somebody on the list that's got to go. Helene is like, I'll tell you when I'm ready. Pam's basically like, nah, I'm ready. She kills her brother. Helene, she reacted the best that she could, where she's just like, you don't get to choose when you're ready. I choose. But then we saw her later go to Constantine and be like, okay, I got to fast track this girl.
I really dug the 3 minutes of Constantine we had in this episode. I know he didn't.
So funny.
He didn't have a lot to do, but I was still all in on every single scene that he had. And I don't know if this is just because we've seen so little of him this season, I'm just craving so much more. But the aesthetics, the music, everything with Constantine in this episode. Can we have a spinoff that's just Constantine and Helene? Because I would watch every single second of that.
They really need to give him more to do. And I understand that maybe they don't have a lot for him to do. But with Helene coming there to talk to him, to be like, we got to speed this up and you're going to participate in this, I'm really hoping that means that he is going to have a bigger role. He is one of the best characters on this show.
So you've mentioned it a little bit already, but this is my favorite part of this entire episode, and this is no surprise to anyone given the Villanelle fan that I am, but Villanelle in therapy, every single part of this, including the whole idea of it, is the idea of therapy is that you're supposed to, work and heal over time and try to figure out things about herself. And, in order for Villanelle to even get this therapy, she's holding the therapist hostage. So she's basically make me better against your will. It is the most counterintuitive Villanelle thing in the known universe.
Them sitting outside in lawn chairs sunning and he's tied to the chair was something else. Or her holding up the Lunchables and being like, what is this? It was all done really well. I mean, the biggest takeaway from it is that she really kind of realized that she's in love. And I think she's known it, and she didn't say it. She all but said it.
Yeah.
That's really where she is in this with Eve. And as we all know, love can make you feel wonderful, and it can also make you feel like poo, she said. If somebody's pushing you away and you're in love with them, that's what it feels like. It feels like you're just in this spiral of despair. And she's been in it all season. She does not know what Eve wants from her. And the biggest problem is just that Eve wants to not feel the way she feels either. Yeah. She wants to feel like she's a good person. She's the frog. She's doing everything right. And she is not actually a scorpion. Where now we have Villanelle on the other side being like, I'm a frog. I can be a frog. When it's like, no, you guys can just be both.
Yeah, I don't think they're in sort of this mindset where it's sort of like you watch people on a reality show, and the people on a reality show, you always want to think that you're the hero of the story and that you're the person who's going to come in and save the day, or like, make good friends or have the good edit. It's like in each one of their heads, they're like replaying their life story, and they fashion themselves as sort of the person who's going to come out waving the sword with like the championship banner above their head. And it's like, okay, life doesn't really work in this sort of black and white way.
No, and I think that's always been sort of the theme of the show for Villanelle and Eve anyways, which is just timing.
Yeah.
That, relationships only work if the timing is right. Both people have to be in the right frame of mind for it to work. And over the years, the timing for them has just been off. Either it's been Eve, or it's been Villanelle, or it's been both.
Okay, we are 20 minutes into this video. It is time for Carolyns Corner,
All right,
where
go
we
for
talk
it.
about. You say it with such a. Okay, here's the best part about the Carolyn storyline: Vlad. I love Vlad. Like,
That's the best part of the Carol. Get out.
Vlad's cookout scene where he's just like outside, like randomly making food with no shoes on. Like, it's tremendous. I like Vlad.
FOH. Listen, no
Okay.
way, man. Carolyn is great. The problem is they haven't really given her enough to do. But the fact that she's like, I'm ready for this next mission. I'm ready to get my hands dirty. Me too, Carolyn. You can do this. Go out there and get your hands dirty.
We will revisit this in 3 more episodes when Carolyn still has not done anything and she is still saying, I'm going to. This is my problem with Carolyn. It's not so much the Carolyn character. It's that I feel like they always hype up that, okay, it's coming for Carolyn. The big Carolyn moment is coming. And like,
it does. Do you not remember the finale from last season? Oh my God. Oh my God.
Okay, see, this really, we just, our hope for these videos is that people just stop watching like before we get to the Carolyns Corner, and then I just make everybody mad. But okay.
No, I know that I'm probably on an island with Carolyn. I don't think everyone loves Carolyn. I just think she is fascinating. Like, I don't think like I'm like, oh, I like her because she's good person. She's dirty and she, underhand, and she will do anything. And yeah, there's some unlikable qualities about her, but she's fascinating.
I think it's just, I want so much more for her because I like Fiona Shaw. I've liked her in so many other things. And
she's so good.
She is so good. And it's just sort of like, I have these big expectations every season, and I feel like the football is pulled away from me. So I don't want that to happen here. I hope Carolyn does get to go and get her hands dirty and have her mission regarding the 12 be every bit as interesting as what it is with Eve, because right now I would just much rather watch Eve and Villanelle because I love those characters way too much.
Thank you everyone for checking us out. Hit that subscribe button. Give us a like if you like this video. And we will be back next week with the next episode.